Skype for Business migration, and we'll talk about how it's easily done, effectively done, at lower risk and at a lower cost by tools from Univonix that Guild Technologies uses out of APAC. All right, so Ifra, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you very much. So a little bit about the agenda, just a quick introduction and some background information about telephony migration challenges. What is the solution that we're offering? A little bit about the workflow, how it works, the feature set, and then we're going to talk a little bit about success stories we've had in Asia Pacific region. Feel free to stop me and ask questions, or we can also do it at the end of our presentation. We have just 10 slides because I want to keep it very focused on the solution. So let's start with a little bit of background. We're seeing a change in the telephony market, and this is where the growing need for cost savings and operational efficiency and mobility are driving away the move away from on-premise systems, which will be the old TDMs and IPTBXs, towards software-based and cloud-based solutions. And the reasons the customers are moving to more modern communication solution, again, has to do with cost savings for calls and for audio and video conference, end of support. They reach a time where their legacy system is no longer supported, or they are expanding, they're opening new offices, or they're acquiring a new company, and the legacy PBX is not always able to handle the planned growth. And this is where Microsoft is a leader in this market. Microsoft Skype for Business is a leader according to Gartner in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for unified communication. And this is both for corporate telephony, web conferencing, and the whole unified communication package. Also includes instant messaging and presence. And we're seeing, as an example, in the US that 33%, 1/3 are planning to deploy and are currently deploying, and about 60% are considering or planning to deploy Skype for Business, including telephony. So this is a leading solution, the Skype for Business, and this is because it is part of the successful Office 365 package, which is very popular among enterprises. So let's talk a bit what happened when you make the decision and you want to move your legacy system into a modern communication solution such as Skype for Business. So we see a lot of the IT projects fail, and there is a nice research by Standage Group that they have found out that on average, large IT projects run 45% over budget and 7% over time, while delivering 56% less value than predicted. And actually, these statistics have been consistent for 5 consecutive years. So this is interesting to understand. How can we change that? How can we make sure that your project is successful, that you don't run over budget, that you don't run over time, and you deliver a successful project, and all of the benefits that you have planned are also going to be realized. So if we look specifically on telephony migration, we need to understand a little bit of the issues. First, it could be a little complex because you're not only moving between all the new technology, you're also moving between vendors, and each vendor is working differently and has different feature set, different definitions. And this is where there are large amount of data with different data models and feature parity that needs to be migrated, needs to be analyzed, needs to be processed, and you need to be able to decide if you're moving everything as is, or maybe when you're moving to a new communication system, this is the time to pause to see what have been used so far, and how are you going to change it, how you're going to make it more efficient. And today, with doing that manually without tool involves intensive manual labor, which is of course time consuming, it's error prone, and it's expensive. It also leads to long implementation and surprises. We hear a lot of migrations that when they get to the actual usage, sometimes functionalities are missing, and this is because of this complexity of such a migration project. And of course, from customer perspective, the end result is that the user experience is compromised both during the migration and after the migration, and it also leads to slow route to benefits realization and ROI. So what are we actually offering? What is the solution? We looked on those issues, and we have delivered a web-based SaaS tool for partners such as Guild Technologies to use. It is hosted on Azure with enterprise-grade security and compliance. And it's basically an automation tool to make legacy PBX to Skype for Business migration easy. And it delivers two main components. The first one is the PBX assessment. It takes your legacy system, it could be Cisco, it could be Avaya, it could be others, and it issues a migration readiness report. What are you using now? Okay. How many users, how many devices, how many lines, what are the features that are being used, how many devices are end of support, and it gives you feature parity with Skype for Business. Tomorrow you move to Skype for Business, how is this going to look like in Skype for Business? How many users can move seamlessly and have the exact same functionality? How many of them might lose some functionality? Because again, we're moving between all the new technologies and different vendors, so there are differentiation. And this is where we can help you set the right expectation with the user, because you know upfront what is your situation. And since this is accurately done on your current legacy system data, it enables Guild Technology to accurately assess your project, because they would know before they even start exactly what you have, exactly what it's going to take to move that, to migrate that to Skype for Business. So they're going to be able to be very accurate when they give you timelines and when they give you cost. And this is very important because today, without this PBX assessment, it is all done on assumptions, and this is how we get to projects that run over budget and run over time. It's important to know that this PBX assessment is done remotely for all users and site and delivered within one business day. This is not a long process. We connect securely to your legacy system. We get the data, and then the cloud service on Azure processes the report and that does the analysis. So this is the PBX assessment, and the guys from Guild Technology will be more than happy to share an example of such a PBX assessment with you. The second part, which is the more interesting one, is the migration automation. Once we have all of the data of what you're using today, on your legacy system, we enable Guild technology to manage the migration and to automatically migrate all the users and system features from the legacy system to Skype for Business. They would also have an intuitive UI that enables them to modify, add, change, or delete everything they want. And of course, they will be working with you, the customers, to decide these changes. But again, there are no manual data collection that is involved. There are no assumptions. Everything is based on real data and real usage. And all of these data, okay, is taken and is processed, again, automatically to build the new Skype for Business configuration and provision all the users with all the features pre-configured so they can start working, okay? And at the end, it enables to process thousands of data points in a matter of hours with high data accuracy. Now, the high data accuracy, again, is very important because this is a pain point. When you do the things manually, when you're missing information, it leads to surprises, it leads to issues that can be realized only after the migration. When everything is automated and is based on real data, you limit the factor of surprises significantly. The final outcome of using our assessment and migration automation tools is that you get up to 10 times faster deployment with high data accuracy and 50% cost savings. We have an ROI calculator. Again, we will be happy to share with you afterwards that you can calculate for your migration project how much time you can save, how much money you can save for this migration. And we will be showing you the success stories, the customer stories from Asia Pacific, how much time and money they've saved on their migration project. It's also very important to talk about the user experience because many customers are concerned what's going to happen throughout the migration project. You'll probably agree that telephony is a crucial system and downtime and disruption are not an option. This is unacceptable. You cannot be without a phone. And this is where the tool also updates the old legacy system on users who moved to Skype for Business. Dependent on your size of the organization, above a certain size, you cannot move the whole organization in one day. You would need to do that in phases. And each group of users that are moving to the new system needs to be updated on the old system so people can continue to communicate internally seamlessly, and they would not know that there is a process behind that is doing that migration. So our tool enables to do that as well. And since everything is pre-configured, it also leads to easier user adoption and reduced post-migration support. So this is a high-level explanation overview of the Univonix Migrate tools. And let's move forward to go more over the flow and the feature set of how do we get to a fast, reliable, and efficient migration and fast route to benefits realization and ROI. So the migration automation workflow is based on 5 steps. The first step is to extract legacy PBX and Active Directory configuration from your current systems. Dependent on your legacy system, there's either an option to export the data, or there is an option to securely connect to your legacy system and pull the data out of it. We do that once, we get a snapshot of the configuration, and that's it. We don't need an ongoing connectivity to your legacy system. The next step is a discovery, a mapping and an analysis of all the users, devices, system features, matching with Active Directory. There are a bunch of reports at this stage that you can get, the PBX assessment, the status of the migration, which users have been migrated, which groups, which sites, etc. The third part is an enrichment, and this is where data might be missing, or there's a need to do some changes, to add users, to delete users, to modify telephony settings, and this is when we do it. The fourth part is the verification. This is where we've decided on a group of users that are going to be migrated to Skype for Business, and the tool would invite the customer, you, to approve, to see all of the users, to see all of their settings and approve the migration before it happens. And once everything is approved, a new configuration is being produced in and automatically loads into Skype for Business. Moving forward to the supported PBXs, users and system features, we support a wide range of PBXs. We support all versions of Cisco, from very old versions like 4.1 to very new ones. Via IP Office and CM, we're finalizing support for Nortel CS1K, and there's also additional PBXs that are on our roadmap. In terms of the target system, we support Skype for Business in various forms. And as you can see, we support, in terms of the users, devices, and system features, a wide range of feature sets that are currently being used and can be migrated automatically. As we move forward, I want to share with you a little bit of case studies. I have 2 case studies, and this is the end of the presentation, and I'll be happy to take some Q&A. 2 customers from Asia Pacific region. So the first one is an energy sector customer with 3,000 users and 12 sites. And this customer was moving from Cisco to Skype for Business Voice on-premise. The challenges were that there was lack of visibility on current PBX configuration. The customer knew he has 3,000 users. They have pretty much the same number of lines and licenses from Cisco. That's it. They had no idea what people are using. They had no idea what is being configured. This was quite an old system that was deployed 7 or 8 years ago. The partner that deployed it is no longer the partner that maintained that system. The people within the customer organization changed, so there was no real knowledge of what's going on there. To make things worse, the user was spread over multiple sites and different guilds, and I think that, as always, there was limited budget and time constraint. So our solution started with the PBX assessment for 3,000 users. It's a single CUCM cluster, and we've managed to deliver automatically within 4 hours the report mapping all of the users' devices and system feature, and the analysis with Skype for Business. And an accurate migration plan was built, again, based on real data. Once this plan was in play, the migration automation kicked in, and a new Skype for Business configuration was generated, again, including user and system features usage. And you see here a list of features that were relevant on that deployment. And again, this has taken hours as well. In between, there's back and forth with the customer of approvals, of changes, and this is where we have what we call a MACD mechanism. MACD means modify, add, change, and delete, and this enables us to maintain the high data accuracy during the migration. So what does it mean? You probably imagine 3,000 users on 12 sites. You don't do it in one day. You go site by site, and you do those migration. But the snapshot of the configuration for the whole 3,000 user, you take that in the beginning of the migration. And during that time, people leave the company, new people come to the company, people go on parental leave, etc. There's all kinds of changes within the organization, and this is where every couple of weeks, every month, we pull the configuration again. It's very simple, it's easy, and it's very fast, and we insert only the changes that have been taken place since the last snapshot. And this is how we maintain high data accuracy during the migration. And again, the users that have been migrated from Cisco to Skype for Business were updated on the legacy system, again, so people can continue to communicate internally within the communication. And this is how we manage to maintain a seamless communication experience during the migration. When the project arrived to the adoption and support, and this is a challenging phase because people are used to using Cisco. Some of them had an IP phone on their desk, and now they have headsets. There could be other differences in the client that is being used, etc. This is where we managed to make it easier for them, because all the telephony features for users were pre-configured with high data accuracy. So just to give you a small example, a sales guy spends some of this time in the office, some of this time with customers at their premises. So he has a settings in his phone that after 3 rings, there's an automatic forward to his mobile phone. So this would be migrated automatically. Okay, it might seem straightforward, but without a tool to read all the configuration of each individual user and migrate that automatically, to do all of this manually, again, it's very error prone, it's time consuming, and it's very costly. So all of this enabled us to focus the training on the usage and drive a faster and easier adoptions, limit the post-migration IT support needs, and the most important part, which is a very big pain point in these kind of projects, is to limit elements of surprise post-migration, and these are disappearing functionalities. So what is the bottom line of this? And this project was first calculated based on manual migration, a sort of a greenfield migration, in which none of the features would have been migrated. They would do just the basic setup, and then each user would need to reconfigure his feature set. So when we did this comparison on what was supposed to be done versus what was actually achieved using Univonix Migrate tool, is first we've managed to cut about 37% of the budget of the cost, which accumulate into $72,000 cost saving. And the reason for that is because of the time that is being saved. The way these projects are working are based on hourly rates and mandates. If we manage to cut more than 50% of the time with automation, this also means that the cost of the project is reduced automatically. And here, those 56% of the time meant 84 business days saved versus manual migration. Moving to the next case study, this is bigger customer, 20,000 users. The HQ is in Asia Pacific, but this is the global customers in 15 countries. And this is a customer who grew through acquisitions. And this means that there are multiple Cisco versions and configuration design. And they're basically moving to a centralized Skype for business. Okay, so we have various three different versions of COCM 4.1, 7.2, 8.6 that needed to be analyzed. 4.1 is extremely old and doesn't even have the option to export the configuration, but we have a solution for that with a tool that we have developed to support very old versions. And the 7.2 and 8.6, while they're old, it's still much newer than the 4.1. So this is a bigger customer. These are three different configuration. This takes a little longer, and when I say a little longer, again, it's 1 day, okay, 1 business day. And again, the enables the system integrator to build an accurate migration plan based on real data and not on assumption. In terms of the migration automation and adoption of support, the beauty of this tool is that regardless if it's a small customer, a medium customer, or a big customer, this is built to scale. This is the same processes, and it gives you the automation option, the speed of automation, high data accuracy. And since here the customer is bigger, the numbers are much bigger. We're still talking about more than 50% of time saved. We're looking at 660 business days saved versus manual migration. Now, of course, this type of projects are not being done by one person. This is a large IT project, and there's a team that are managing these projects. So 3 people, for example, would save 220 business days. And when you calculate that in terms of cost, we see here 42% of budget saved, which is more than 600K US dollar, and this is a direct result of the time saved, the mandates saved here. Before I move to the next steps, any questions? Everything I've shown.
Yes, Ifrat, I do have a question.
Yeah.
Just wondering, how are these numbers derived? How are they calculated? From what source?
So there was an assumptions, okay, a price proposal that was based on manual migration, okay. This was how this project started, and it was too much. It was above the budget. The timeline was too high, and of course, when you have a multiple-year migration, there's also a risk of technology changing, people changing, etc. And the customer looked for a better solution. And then we came with our offer that was much lower in price, so that we knew in the beginning. And when this project ended, it also met the timelines estimations. So this is compared to the initial timeline and cost calculation proposal.
Okay.
Okay, and this is what I'm showing on the next step. There's an ROI calculation on our website, univonix.com/ROI, that if you have a specific project, you can enter the number of users that you have, how many sites do you have, are you international or not? If there's a big difference if all of the sites are present in one geo, in one country, or they are international, and then it gives you estimation of how much time and money you can save. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's important also to mention that what Univonix does is the tool, okay, is giving these tools. The migration also involves additional elements such as network assessment, such as distribution of hardware, whether it's IP phones, whether it's headsets, whether it's SBCs, all of the adoption and support. And all of this is done by partners such as Guild Technologies that gives end-to-end migration and project management. So guys like Guild Technologies would be using our tool to deliver a fast, reliable, and cost-effective migration. Any more questions? Okay, so let's move to the last slide, and these are the next steps. If you are interested in a demo considering to migrate your legacy system to Skype for Business, do you have an upcoming migration project? Do you want to evaluate our ROI model for your organization? We can take specifically your data in terms of, as I've said, the number of users, the number of sites, what PBX are you migrating from? You can also log into univonix.com /ROI. I've written that on the chat window, and look at it yourself, but that would be more high level, and we can also work with you throughout your more detailed organization plan. And everything in your region is done with Guild Technologies, so you have the contact details here, and we'll be very happy to work with you and help you achieve a fast, reliable, and cost-effective migration. So thank you very much, Audrey and Sarabjit, for giving me this opportunity. And unless there's other questions, I will be heading back to you, Audrey, to close this webinar.
All right, thank you, Efrat, for the time and the insight. Aichong, you still here?
Yes.
Yes, just wondering, reaching out to you to check if you have any questions for us.
No, thank you.
Okay, no problem. I will be sharing the slides with you. Do just drop us an email if you have questions after this webinar.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Everyone.
Have a good day.
Good
Bye.
day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Fred. Thanks. Bye.